Joining me now, Frank Figliuzzi, former FBI Assistant Director for Counterintelligence and a good friend of the show. Frank, welcome. Before we get to your article, what do you make of Trump trying to rewrite January 6th history? Look, in the words of Vice President Harris, he's gaslighting America.
Yeah, and this is revisionist history happening right before our eyes. Look, he calls January 6th a day of love. He says it was peaceful. Here are the facts. 140 police officers, Capitol Hill Police and Washington Metro Police injured that day, even heart attacks, even a mob taking a taser and using it on an officer, trying to grab his firearm. People lost digits, fingers. And we had a woman, Ashley Babbitt, a Trump supporter, who had to be shot and killed by a Capitol police officer. 1,000 people so far have been convicted of their role in January 6th that day. There's nothing peaceful or love-inducing about what happened that day. So he's trying to rewrite history. I think the American people get that. I think they look at the numbers and say, yeah, I saw the videos, and I didn't see the peace and love that day.
Yeah. And you wrote about Trump's enemy within comments, and you say his idea of the military handling his political adversaries is a revelation of what could be in store if he wins. Well, here's reaction from J.D. Vance and VP Harris. Take a listen, Frank.
He says that as commander-in-chief, he would use our military to go after them, journalists whose stories he doesn't like, nonpartisan election officials who refuse to cheat by finding extra votes for him, judges who insist on following the law.
Trump references the enemy from within. Would a Trump administration use the military to go after people who oppose Donald Trump?
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
All right, so that was quick. It kind of sounds like Vance just wants this to go away. What makes these Trump remarks particularly concerning to you?
I think one of the factors that concerns me is that we're seeing this multiple times and in multiple places. So these aren't one-offs. When he says something, we can no longer say, well, he had a bad day, he's tired, he's exhausted, he's old. We keep seeing this theme, and it's not just from him, it's from those around him. It's included in Project 2025, this notion of holding people, quote, accountable for misusing their government positions, for opposing Trump, right? No one misused their government position in prosecuting those around Trump and Trump himself. People like you and me sat on grand juries, and at least Americans sat on the trial jury and convicted him and found him. This isn't misuse of government. The so-called weaponization of government is actually something that we have a track record on with Trump. So the revenge against enemies, which will include members of the media, he's called for pulling licenses of his least favorite platforms. This is for real. I have friends and colleagues from the government, Alex, who are literally considering the plan on how they may have to leave the country if Trump pursues them and their families.
Well, that is sobering. Also sobering, Generals Milley and Mattis reportedly both confided to Bob Woodward that they share all these concerns. And then here's another concern raised by MSNBC legal analyst Neil Katyal. Let's watch that.
It's a coming massive crisis that's going to occur on November 5th with the election, in which even if Kamala Harris wins the election and wins those battleground states, the Trump team is going to declare victory with J.D. Vance at his side, and they will pressure courts, they will pressure state legislatures, they'll pressure state governors, and they'll pressure the United States Congress to throw out the popular vote and get this election through shenanigan.
Frank, are there steps that can be taken now to avoid chaos or some sort of a massive crisis?
Yeah, clearly we should not be surprised when Trump refuses to accept the outcome of the election, and for a protracted period of time before we actually know who won. That leaves people with violent intentions to do really bad things. With regard to what's being done now, there are teams of lawyers working hard, both in the private sector and attached to the Harris campaign, who are doing what they can in the states that are trying the hardest to suppress the vote. And we also know that the Department of Justice has filed suits in states that are clearly wanting to suppress the will of the people, and more aggressive steps are going to be taken between now and the election.
Okay, I'm glad all that work is being done and that you are joining us, shining a light on all of it. Frank Figliuzzi, thank you.